Imagine you're a high-performance race car built for an endless off-road rally, but you're locked in a 6x6-foot garage. That is the exact predicament of modern humans. For millions of years, evolution fine-tuned our brains into the ultimate survival tools. We had to constantly scan the horizon for predators, forage for high-calorie food, and fight for our place in the sun. Our neural network is essentially a massive anxiety engine, hardwired to navigate crises. Yet, now that we've finally built a world where food is delivered to our doorstep and climate control keeps us from shivering, our biological software has started throwing critical errors. Boredom isn't just a frivolous whim of pampered city dwellers. It's a genuine evolutionary paradox. With no external threats left, a brain deprived of its usual chaos begins to literally devour itself. Imagine your inner antivirus software, finding zero threats, gets bored, and starts deleting system files. Neurons hooked on adrenaline roller coasters crave stimulation. Deprived of it, our gray matter generates a soul-crushing dread so intense it rivals physical pain. We are prisoners of our own comfort. 85. Our bodies don't understand why we aren't running from tigers, so they start inventing ghosts where there are none. So why do we feel so miserable despite having a stocked fridge and unlimited Wi-Fi? Because our dopamine loop was designed for the hunt, not the feast. In ancient times, the reward for a grueling search for berries was survival. Today, the reward for tapping a smartphone screen is a fleeting microdose of neurotransmitters, followed by an even deeper sense of emptiness. We live in an era of biological absurdity. Our bodies are still waiting for a danger signal, while our environment screams, relax. But to our brains, relaxation feels like death. That's why we doom scroll until 3 a.m., pick fights in comment sections, and invent non-existent problems. This isn't laziness or a lack of willpower. It's our body's desperate attempt to hack the system just to feel alive in a sterile, safe environment. We are predators forced onto a diet of Netflix and pizza delivery. And honestly, nature never expected us to reach the top of the food chain only to grow bored of our own triumph. But what happens when this boredom becomes unbearable? And imagine a highly aggressive sales rep living inside your skull. His name is Dopamine, and he is utterly obsessed with novelty. Contrary to popular belief, this chemical agent doesn't actually deliver pleasure. His true specialty is anticipation. He operates like a slick bookie, constantly tempting you with winning bets. The moment you spot something unusual, your neurons fire a massive impulse. Look! That could be food or a valuable resource. In the savannah, this was a matter of life and death. Find a ripe berry, get a dopamine hit, survive, pass on your genes. The brain evolved as a novelty-seeking machine, where every unfamiliar bush was either a jackpot of calories or the jaws of a saber-toothed cat. But today, we live in a world where tigers are extinct and dinner is delivered to our doorstep in 30 minutes flat. Yet your internal sales rep missed the memo on technological progress. He still demands novelty to keep your motivation levels up. And that's where the smartphone comes in. The screen has become the ultimate hunting simulator. Every refresh of your feed is a roll of the dice. You swipe down, not knowing if you'll get a hilarious video, a text from a friend, or a pointless ad. Your brain processes this gesture as foraging for prey. You scroll, hoping for a sudden dopamine rush, but you only get a microscopic hit that lasts for a fraction of a second. This is the classic variable reward trap, the very mechanism slot machines are built on. If a slot machine paid out every single time, you'd get bored in minutes. But when the outcome is random, the thrill skyrockets. Social media has weaponized your survival instincts, turning them into an algorithm for endless information consumption. You're no longer foraging for food, you're hunting for an emotional click that never quite satisfies. We have become hostages to our own biological code, which was never designed for an infinite content stream. Now, your neural engine is idling, burning fuel for nothing. And the most terrifying question is, who is actually pulling the trigger on this mechanism? Is it you, or some invisible digital architect who knows exactly when to feed you the next batch of shiny pixels? We built concrete cages called megacities and traded the freedom of the savannah for the comfort of office chairs. Urbanization has turned us into creatures whose territory is bounded by the range of a Wi-Fi router. In the past, activity was a prerequisite for survival. If you didn't trek 10 miles for roots and tubers, you starved. Today, our primary physical exertion is the trek from the couch to the fridge, performed with the grace of a sloth having an existential crisis. We've engineered a social vacuum where real human connection is replaced by likes and physical touch by emojis. This isn't progress. It's solitary confinement in a gilded cage where the walls are painted in UI color schemes. Think about it. If the power grid went down tomorrow, taking all the digital noise with it, what would be left of us? We've grown so accustomed to outsourcing every question to a search engine and numbing every spike of anxiety with short-form videos. Without our gadgets, we would suddenly find ourselves eye to eye with the terrifying silence of our own minds. The primal uncertainty we worked so hard to escape would rush back in an instant. We'd have to relearn how to look people in the eye instead of staring at screens, and how to listen to a silence no longer punctuated by notifications. Could we make peace with ourselves in a world where survival depends not on internet speeds, but on our ability to listen to our instincts? 85% most likely, we'd be hit by massive panic attacks within the first few hours as our brains, hooked on constant external stimulation, go through literal withdrawal. But maybe, just maybe, that's when we would finally stop being race cars idling in a garage. Maybe we'd realize that the real world is infinitely wider than screen resolution. We are hostages of our own efficiency, having forgotten how to simply exist. And the price of this collective amnesia is an endless chase after phantoms in a matrix we built to hide from ourselves. If the outlets ever go dead, we will have to remember who we truly are. Not users, but biological organisms built for movement, exploration, and a tangible rather than pixelated reality. And that conversation with ourselves will be the most honest moment of our lives. But what if we're looking at boredom through the wrong lens? We're used to treating it as an annoying glitch, a system error to be patched immediately with a fresh dose of entertainment. But imagine if it's not a bug, it's a feature. A hidden toggle that switches your brain into deep scan mode. 85. When the outside world stops throwing logs onto your dopamine fire, your brain is forced to dig into its internal archives. Boredom isn't an empty void. It's a quiet waiting room where your consciousness finally gets a word in. As long as you're scrolling, you're just a consumer of someone else's thoughts. The moment that stream runs dry, you become the architect of your own. It is in these moments of pure, unadulterated idleness that our brain activates its default mode network. In this state, we stop reacting to external stimuli and start building the complex neural connections responsible for creativity, long-term planning, and self. Have you ever noticed that your best breakthroughs don't happen in the heat of a work crunch, but in the shower or during a long walk without headphones? That's not magic. It's biology. Freed from the chore of digesting tons of digital garbage, the brain starts sorting through accumulated experiences, connecting seemingly unrelated dots, and finding answers to questions you hadn't even formulated yet. We fear boredom because it strips away our mask of busyness. In the silence, there is nowhere to hide from ourselves. 85% yet, this is precisely where our species' ultimate upgrade lies. The ability to tolerate a lack of stimulation is the highest form of mental freedom. It is the power to hit pause on the endless chase for cheap thrills and direct your energy inward. Boredom becomes a tool that cleanses the lens of perception. It washes away the superficial noise, allowing you to see the core of things, otherwise hidden behind a haze of endless notifications. Stop treating silence like a threat. The next time you feel that familiar itch of restlessness rising up, don't reach for your phone. Leave it alone. Allow yourself to push through to the very edge of that feeling. There, just past the initial wave of discomfort, lies the breathtaking landscape of your own mind. As it turns out, you are a far deeper, far more fascinating conversationalist than any influencer or algorithm. Boredom isn't the end of the road. It's the entrance to the laboratory where truly valuable things are born. And the only way to hear the voice of your own consciousness is to simply let yourself fall silent for a moment. 85 perhaps right now. As you set this text aside, your most important journey will begin. Your journey back to yourself.